Hello everybody, welcome back to M.A.G. Recently I have just did a stream where I had showcased two of the saxophones that are in the saxophone, train, so to speak. They're the main three ones that most people know and recognize are the baritone, the biggest one, maybe there's bigger, I don't know, the tenor saxophone, and then the alto saxophone. Then there is a breed, if I believe it's called the soprano, which is as if a clarinet and a saxophone decide to combine together Goku style. You got yourself a soprano. And I believe there's one bigger than the baritone, which at that point I don't even remember what's it called. But today I will be showing what exactly are the three and how each one is different. Let's start from the beginning. And this is, lots of people will begin with this when they come to do like some version of beginner band or introduction to band. This here is the alto saxophone. I call it the baby saxophone. It's one of the smaller ones, and it's the one that most beginners will start with. This thing is pretty big. It uses a simple neck strap mechanism like this. The way to tighten it is with this, by pulling this up when you have it on your person. It has the same regular keys, and it's the best one to showcase how all of the saxophones will work in the future. It has the neck, which is this smallest one, and this high note piece, as I call it. When it's pressed down, when there's a little flap that's here, this goes up and it raises it slightly. This goes onto the top over here. Then there is this, the alto saxophone mouthpiece, the smallest of the crew. Now, this here is smallest. It's currently using this type of thing. It's usually used for tightening up the mouthpiece. Speaking of the mouth, not the mouthpiece, but the reed itself, this whole thing is called the mouthpiece. This would go onto the top cork, and this would go on top of that after you put the reed on. Speaking of the reed, here is the reed. It's the smallest, and it's only fitted for specifically the reed of that. It goes on top like this. Now, as I said before, this instrument is the best to showcase how almost all of the saxophones will work and how most of the instruments do work. You have these white things. These are what you play the notes on. Depending on what you play and what you press, you will get a different sound. There are a few weird exceptions, such as if you play just this bottom note here, there's a high chance you won't get any sound whatsoever, or it'll be slightly different but it's barely noticeable. There will be these two bottom keys, usually. I'm not fully sure for the soprano, but there's these two bottom keys, always. There are these three keys right here. And then there will be three on the other side over here. These three. And there will always be this little mechanism right here, which is just a bunch of key notes. This one is just one of the Yamaha versions, if anybody is curious. And all the saxophones are roughly designed like this. The reason why it's so small is because depending on how big it is, it's a different type of pitch. And it's all fine-tuned to be able to play these higher pitches. For all the saxophones as well, there is also this note right here. This is that little knob that will then raise this thing up to here. It's a common occurrence in the bigger saxophones, a little problem, which I will then tell you about later. Next up, the tenor saxophone, the middle child. So, here it is, tenor, my personal favorite, what I believe has the best sound, but that's because of its tune. Again, it uses a simple neck strap mechanism just usually a little bit longer because of, well, it being bigger. Usually has a little bit more padding as well, so help with the shoulders because this is of course heavier, especially when standing. Here's of course the neck piece. It's a little bit different, of course. Here is the mouthpiece and reed. Mine is slightly chipped because of overuse. I need to replace it. And again, it follows the same exact structure. Only difference is, if you can't see, obviously, I'll pick it up and show you. Here's the tenor saxophone. Comparison to the alto saxophone here. If y'all can see that. It's significantly bigger. It plays definitely a different tune, meaning that it has a little bit more potential, but it also can't do some things. It's my personal favorite. It's a lot of like the next step. If you don't do alto and you decide to move up, lots of people will go up to tenor saxophone, at least from what I have seen. Because it's just simply how it pitches work, and most of the time people need to play the lows. Shout out to brass. Baritone, which is of course the biggest, well, maybe not, but is one of the bigger instruments that is a part of the alto of the saxophone trio, at least this trio that I have. It's big. For comparison, we all know how big the tenor is in comparison to the alto, but this is the comparison tenor to a baritone. That's pretty big. Now, this is one of the lowest that you can possibly play for an instrument, only of course being beat out by the actual brass who have the tubas and such. It plays big, yet weirdly enough, it has the smallest neck piece, even smaller than the alto saxophones. And even weirder, frankly, you might see that this mouthpiece doesn't have that high note thing that both the alto and the tenor have. Its high piece is on the instrument itself. This little node, because there's two places where this high note key is. See how I'm pressing here, I raise that up here, and there's a thing all the way on the back over here somewhere that gets slightly raised up. And there's another one all the way down there, or the way somewhere down here that also gets raised up at the same time. So if you want to talk about complicated, yeah, go baritone saxophone. Makes no sense. Now, a common problem, especially with the tenor, from what I've found, is that this will slightly get misaligned. And you might want to ask your band teacher whenever this does happen, but you'll recognize it immediately that you're always playing high notes. What you want to do, at least that's what I've seen, so you just hold this mouthpiece lightly and then you bend the other part down. First off, I don't really take my advice. These are just quick fixes, but go see your actual band teacher if your saxophone starts finicking with you. And, there's no basic fix. The reed itself is bigger than all of the other reeds itself, and yeah, the only exception of that, everything is the exact same. Except, there's one special key. If you flip this thing around, right where the high note key is, there's this key. What the hell does it do? Makes everything low, and you can't play anything but the low note. That's it. There's nothing special. Pressing this down, it holds down all the keys necessary to play the lowest possible note that the berry can possibly play. Why does it have that note? I guess it's so that you don't have to do the overcomplicated process of, pressing all the notes down. Might be hard to hold as well. Here comes the test. Which one is the very best? And the answer is none of them. Yeah, I know, underwhelming. But why? Well, very simple. Each one has a different selected part. This one plays the lows, this plays the in-betweens, and that plays basically everything and all the melodies for any of your favorite songs. High chance that this thing has been everywhere and has been used all the time. While these two don't get as much notice, they definitely do come into play. Now then, alto saxophone is the most famous one, the one you'll find the most tutorials, the most song pieces, the most basically everything. Because it's the alto saxophone, it's used basically everywhere and is a core essential. Like, you need your clarinets, you need your drums, well, I guess you do need flutes once in a while, definitely. Trumpets, of course, but you gotta have your saxophones at least. Can't have a band without a couple saxophones. Tenor, on the other hand, it plays that middle part when you don't have a certain instrument. Like, I don't know, the trombones, or yeah, that's about it. When you don't have enough trombones and all those other middle section that aren't exactly bass, but aren't exactly the highs either. These are your one and only get-go. And then there's, of course, when you don't have enough tubas. Bingo. Not only does it satisfy some of the qualities of tenor saxophone, it also satisfies the qualifies for lows as well. Alto is, again, beginner-friendly. It is the best if you really have just started to get your hands on music. If you just want the simple route and a lot of tutorials and such, alto saxophone, that's the best pick. Once you learn a lot, you'll be able to move to a tenor, and then one day Barry, with Barry being probably the most complicated out of all of them, especially when it comes to fixing it.